Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. I'm Chelsea. You know that, I know that. I'm just a lady with a bulldog, a camera, and too many opinions. And today, boy do I have opinions. I have had the pleasure of stumbling upon a fundie, or rather finding a fundie, if you will. Maybe we should start a new series called Finding Fundies, where I just find random ones and I'm just bamboozled. They pulled a bamboozlement. A quite astonishing fundie that I am, not to continue with SAT words, but I am honestly flabbergasted that there are not many videos, or really any commentary videos about her on YouTube. From what I have seen, there might be, and I'm just an idiot and don't know how to use the search aspect of YouTube. Today we're going to be talking about Sarah Titus, who in my opinion is a scammer, a fundie, and most of all, an erotomaniac. Of course, as always, everything I state on my channel in general, but in this specific video about this person is all just my own opinion. I am not giving legal advice, financial advice, stating anything as a fact. I am not a medical professional. I am just presenting my opinions and kind of showing you how I got there. And this person does present themselves as a public figure. So therefore, here I am. Please do not go harass, talk to, seek out, engage with anyone that I put on my channel, but especially this person. Y'all know I say it all the time. This is not a petting zoo, but especially with this person, please do not. I know it sounds like I'm being real serious right now. I'm not just being big sister Chelsea. I'm being mom. I'm being mama CC, okay? Don't do it. Please do not. Lurk if you want, but do not engage. In my opinion, it could possibly be dangerous for you. Getting all this misinformation straightened out can be tough. But thankfully, I'm a pro. I've been unraveling this industry's web of lies for years. They might get the truth twisted. They might get it tangled. That's okay, because I've had a lot of practice. Thanks to the sponsor of this video, Twisted Tangle. Twisted Tangle is an immersive 3D puzzle game that captivates and challenges players through untangling difficult knots. Fresh puzzles await players' strategic minds. The more players engage, the more twisted and complex the knots get. Between keeping up with my 1-year-old, who doesn't seem to understand that him sprinting around the kitchen island is gonna give me a heart attack, posting YouTube videos, starting a new podcast, I am tired. I am tired. So after I put this baby to sleep, there's nothing that I love more than pouring myself an ice cold beverage and snuggling in my reading nook in my office and untwisting these tangles. There are more than 1,000 unique levels, and new levels are being added regularly. Twisted Tangle is free to download, and you can even play it without Wi-Fi, so it's perfect for on the go. So download now, test your skills, comment down below what level you're on. I'm on 165, 164, something like that. Unravel the challenge, become a master, and conquer Twisted Tangle's intricate puzzles. My team and I have absolutely come to the agreement that Sarah Titus is one of the most, if not the most, terrifying public-facing individual that we have researched and made a video on. We've made videos about cult leaders. Yeah, so grab a snack, buckle up, because we have a 60-page script to go through. Not me coming in with the surprise deep dive for you guys. You can thank my researcher, Kelly. She's amazing. Obviously, Ethan's amazing too. But let's continue. While Sarah has not shared an official diagnosis, nor are we medical professionals over here who would be able to diagnose Sarah, but I personally, in my opinion, I strongly believe that she exhibits symptoms of a rare delusional disorder known as erotomania. Erotomania, also known as de Clerimbau's syndrome, sorry if I'm mispronouncing that, I do not be French, is a rare delusional disorder in which an individual falsely believes that another person is in love with them. Baby reindeer, anyone? Allegedly? The medically reviewed paper titled Delusions of Love, Signs of Living with Erotomania, written by Hilary Labow, the erotomaniac's fixation, quote, may be anyone, but most often it's a public figure, famous person, or someone considered to be of a high social status. The fixation of the erotomaniac may be someone they know or a complete stranger that they've never met. The delusions can be so strong that the person suffering from erotomania may be convinced that they are in love and in a relationship with someone that they have never seen, known, or communicated with before. While erotomania can be a diagnosis of its own, erotomanic delusions can also be symptoms of bipolar disorder, major depressive disorder, borderline personality disorder, schizophrenia, schizoaffective disorder, and brain diseases. And for today's video, I do think it's important to point out delusions of reference are common, as the erotomaniac individual often perceives that they are being sent messages from the secret admirer through innocuous events such as seeing license plates from specific regions. Now, of course, one of the first things that may come to mind is the most recent, very, very, very popular and very well written Baby Reindeer Netflix series about a man who had a stalker, and it's based on a true story, and that man wrote it, starred in it, all that. Truly a one-man show of sorts. Not really a one-man show because there's a bunch of other people involved. And of course, the real world Martha, who was in prison for stalking this person or harassing them or whatever she was actually in there for. She got out of prison and then went on to Pierce Morgan, went on to other media outlets, was interviewed, things like that. And then she, I believe, is actually going forward with suing Netflix, which is crazy. And of course, I apologize for using words like crazy or wild or insane or anything like that. I know I shouldn't do that. However, I guess I should just say words like unbelievable instead. But of course, then we have examples like I'm sure all of us have heard about. I'm pretty sure there was a French man who sent Zendaya, somehow got her phone number and sent her thousands of texts and messages and calls and things like that that were some of which threatening. But reading them, you would have been like, oh, you know this person? And it's like, no, I don't. And of course, there's been ones that have stalked Taylor Swift and said like, oh yeah, we're dating or whatever. And then there's a man who was in, I believe it was Kendall Jenner's backyard and was like, no, that's my girlfriend. It's like, no, these are delusions. Also, another super topical example of erotomania is, especially since one of our presidential candidates just had a assassination attempt, which is wild. What a time to be experiencing life. But the last time that happened was with President Ronald Reagan and a man named John Hinckley Jr., who attempted to assassinate President Reagan. And he said it was in order to impress actress Jodie Foster. And of course, he'd never met her, did not know her, but had delusions that he, that she told him to. It is also important to note that per the peer-reviewed medical journal, Erotomania, adapting to the engendered dangerousness. In fact, research shows that there are 3 stages of erotomania. Hope, the individual hopes that the object of their affection will acknowledge them openly and declare their love. Resentment, the individual starts to feel humiliated due to feelings of rejection. They may start to feel desperate for their love interest's attention. And then grudge. The individual may believe that they've been wronged or led on and possibly develop delusions of persecution to maintain their delusional belief system. For example, they may believe that the object of their delusion is being coerced or manipulated by external forces to reject them, or begin to believe that the object of their delusion, along with others associated with them, are actively trying to harm them. At the grudge stage, individuals with erotomania will typically act out or finally accept that the relationship is impossible, or rather doesn't exist. And then unfortunately, many times move on and copy and paste, repeat the cycle with someone new. Now that we've got a little bit of a background on erotomania and you can kind of hopefully understand what we're getting into here and why I say do not touch the poop, this is not a petting zoo. Please, for the love of whatever higher power you believe in, this flying spaghetti monster, Jesus, my bulldog Wiggum, I don't know. Just please don't, okay? But now that we have a little bit of background on that and we have an idea of what can happen when people dealing with this are rejected and don't receive the reciprocated emotions and the treatment that they think that they are entitled to, let's go ahead and get back into Sarah Titus, shall we? Boy, oh boy, do we have a lot to get into. Now, not a lot has been shared about Sarah Titus's childhood other than what she herself has shared. And as you and me and everyone else knows, the people that we cover on my channel are not reliable narrators. This woman is no exception, in my opinion. She is chronically an unreliable narrator. That is my opinion, but that's for sure. But what my team over here at Stay Spicy Productions was able, Stay Spicy Studios, who knows, not me, definitely not them. What we were able to gather from court documents is that Sarah Titus is currently 45 years old. Now, from Sarah's blog, we've been told that she was relentlessly bullied by her classmates as a young child. Sarah also shares that her mother was a terrible parent in her blog titled God Uses the Weak. Now I'm going to read an excerpt from her blog, but I am going to censor it due to monetization purposes. Although I'm pretty positive that this video is already going to be demonetized within the first 10 minutes of it being posted. But we're going to try our best. So go on the internet and look at this for yourself. However, I am going to have to censor it for monetization purposes just a little bit. And then there was my mom, one of the worst moms in the entire world. A woman who never cared about herself, much less me. Went through men like crazy. Was married several times, not married to my dad, and on welfare all our lives. She just never had any ambition to make life better. When I was a teen, she asked me to unalive myself with her. She said that she would end my life by giving me a needle full of insulin, and then that she would unalive herself once I was deceased. I cannot even begin, tears, to tell you how much I hated her. And when she passed, unlike other loving daughters, I felt bad and people didn't understand why I was happy she was gone. Tears. No longer did I have to deal with all that pain and torture, the manipulations, the emotional and spiritual and physical abuse. Now, if true, that's awful. Also, if true, it makes sense as to why Sarah Titus would want to get out of her mother's house as soon as possible and make a life for herself. So unfortunately, like many very young women who are trying to get out of a not great situation, when someone comes along and offers you an out for that via, let's say, quite young and inexperienced, and dear God, please don't do it, a marriage proposal, she jumped at that opportunity. So enter her now, thankfully, ex-husband, Melvin Titus. The timing of everything is difficult to nail down. Via court documents, Sarah was born in 1980. Hearings for child support occurred between 2012 and 2013, which could have meant in 2012, she was 32 years old. Keep that little number in the back of your noggin, please. Or in the front, or just in your hand. I don't care where you put it. Just don't forget it, okay? So back to Sarah. She claims she went out of her childhood home as soon as possible. In the same blog, Sarah adds, "So when I met my ex-husband, I just wanted to get away from it all. We got married, and very soon after that, I found out that he was worse than my mom." The couple went on to have 2 children, but it was very clear that their relationship was absolutely destructive. And by destructive, I mean strangulation level destructive. Sarah states that her husband was addicted to watching certain types of videos of the illicit type on a hub type of website. Trying to skirt demonetization is tough. She also says that he constantly broke the law, including a situation where he allegedly opened up a credit card under Sarah's mother's social security and name and all that, and then allegedly used that payment method and maxed it out to cover some purchases of the illicit website manner. In her own words, Sarah shared the following in a Facebook post from October 5th, 2013. "Many years ago, my now ex-husband abandoned us. He started going off the deep end, getting physically violent, drinking, and mixing it with pills. Driving home drunk, having multiple affairs, and one day, he poured Powerade all over the top of my head and shoved a banana in my face, on my glasses, and smeared it all in. I stood there, sticky and wet, in complete and utter shock, and I knew I had to get out. It was clear he was having an affair. I saw the texts, and I packed the car and left and got to safety." After 14 years of marriage, it does seem like Sarah then realized that she needed to get a divorce from her husband. So then Sarah, along with her children, were seeking refuge in homeless shelters in their area, and she shared this experience in her blog posts and also how she really had to learn how to stretch that dollar and live in a much more frugal way. So Sarah, born in 1980, marries Melvin in 1998 when she's 18. And then 14 years of marriage gets us to 2012, which lines up with the court documents for child support at that time. Just making a little timeline for you. Sarah claims that she came to the conclusion that it's about counting the cost and obeying God, no matter what. Things didn't exactly go super smoothly with their divorce as Melvin apparently came back multiple times asking for a second, third, fourth, and fifth chance. And Sarah also shares that the type of fundamentalist church that she was a part of, they saw it, as many of them do unfortunately, that it was her fault that they were getting divorced. This led her to question her faith, her religion, everything. She came to the conclusion that while she'd been baptized and raised a Christian, that, quote, I wasn't a Christian. And I was devastated. I lost my husband my whole life, and now I wasn't a Christian. On my channel, we talk a lot about cults, manipulation, cult tactics, multi-level marketing companies, stuff like that, right? And we do talk a lot about how when someone is in a cult or in an MLM, a lot of times it will encapsulate, it will take over your entire life, your friends, your spouse, your church, your whatever. So if you leave the cult, the MLM, whatever, you're left with nothing. And a lot of times that's what gets people to stay. But not only the fear of losing all of that, but the fear of not knowing what to do and having to start over. And then, of course, that really ties into the isolation aspects of cult tactics, because if every single person in your life is a fundamentalist, who are you going to talk to when you start to question things like that, right? Nobody. For example, we're all familiar with the Duggar family. If Jana Duggar's dream guy knocked on her front door and asked her, an extremely conservative, fundamental Christian woman who appears to be still unmarried, if she'd like to come out to the club with him and drink a bottle of tequila, what do you think the answer would be? It's also really important to note that the Duggar family, like most fundies, but they have a specific no dancing rule, because of course they do. And we're living inside the movie Footloose. So like I said, the Duggar family has a strict no dancing rule for all of their children, as it can promote temptation. They also have a handy dandy rule that states that they can't listen to any music with drums because the beat could cause you to get distracted and you could get into a car accident, or really any other worldly music in general. You know, when the music's so good, you crash your car. For the Duggar family, it pretty much only leaves Christian hymns and classical music. Don't get me wrong, I love some Frédéric Chopin. I'm not joking, I listen to it almost every single morning. However, my son did enter the world while the song My Boo by Usher was blasting in the delivery room. So it's about balance, people. So back to the question that has been proposed. Do you think that what's-her-face Duggar would be able to go out? You already know that's silly. It's no. No, doesn't matter. They can't. Also, the fact is that there wouldn't even be a chance for that to happen, because when you are in this type of environment, you are not interacting with people who would even go to a club or go dancing like at all. No front hugs, because then your private parts might touch. But, you know, child schmornography. Let's excuse that. Now, what if Miley Cyrus's dream partner asked her out on the same date that our little Jay Duggar was asked on? Drinks at the club, dancing, making out at the end of the night. Honestly, that sounds amazing. I'm trying to go make out in the car with my husband. While Miley was brought up attending a Southern Baptist church, she gave an interview to NBC News stating the reason why I left my church in her teenage years is that they, her gay friends, weren't being accepted and they were being sent to conversion therapies. The interviewer also said, Cyrus, who said that she's attracted to people regardless of their gender identity and came out as pansexual in 2015, added that she also struggled with organized religion because of her own sexuality. Now, of course, with that same scenario, obviously Miley Cyrus would be able to make that choice for herself and go out with whoever she wanted to. Sexuality aside, doesn't matter, because she is free to make that choice. A Duggar, or any fundamentalist in general, really, would not be free to make that choice. So what does all of that random ranting have to do with Sarah Titus? With the information that we've learned, she has deep conservative Christian beliefs. We can rationalize that many decisions that Sarah has made were in the Fundy Christian woman mindset. But even that explanation doesn't quite cover what Sarah was experiencing. Again, as I've stated, me nor anyone on my team, no one in this household is a medical professional, and we are not equipped to diagnose anyone with anything, girlfriend, except for being spicy, but like not even that, okay? And I'm not diagnosing anyone, but I do think it is important to point out some similarities and possibilities here, okay? It is important to mention that stress and traumatic events have been noted as triggers for those predisposed with developing erotomania. After Sarah Titus went through the traumatic and physically violent breakup of her marriage, she was seriously struggling. And here's a Facebook post that would have occurred around, if not after 2012. So after the separation and or divorce. And she starts off with a quote from John MacArthur. And she says, "Many years ago, my now ex-husband abandoned us." At this point in her life, Sarah does a pivot. She states that after saving up a good amount and selling full-time on eBay, she was able to rent a nice little home for her and her children. While we were finally living comfortably, Sarah shared, but it wasn't satisfying to my soul. I didn't feel like I was helping people. This is when Sarah started her blog. She offered advice to friends and strangers, teaching them how to live modestly with a low income. She also shared deep conservative religious beliefs with her new viewers. And Sarah frequently states that if mothers follow her business model, they will be able to be stay-at-home mothers, earning a livable income. After all, per Sarah, every mom should be able to stay home with her kids regardless of income. How many red flags? Right? Exactly. You know where this is going. Obviously, that sounds too good to be true. Obviously, that's extremely unsustainable and typically unattainable. And it's giving Bethy vibes. And of course it is, because what was she selling? Sarah was selling online courses that she charged an obscene amount of money for. And what type of information did they include, you ask? What else would they include? Information that you can find online for free, of course. Despite claims of being harassed by every single person in her life, Sarah claimed that she could earn and live off of $1,000 a month with 2 kids, $500 a month from blogging, and $500 a month from selling stuff on eBay. Sarah goes on to share that she was able to meet her goal of earning $1,000 per month within a year. But then to her absolute delight, her business expanded and she began making printables and selling courses on how to make money online. You know, courses on how to make courses and teaching people how to make money online by promoting it that you're making money online. With the help of a successful store on Shopify, her income skyrocketed to a $2 million business within a year, allegedly. She claims that she's made over $13 million since she started her businesses. I bet. But like, have you paid taxes? This alleged successful multi-millionaire, single mother, single mama, single work from home mama is absolutely killing it. Has her entire life figured out. She got out of a bad situation. She, worked her butt off, and now here she is, doing so well. Now, we all know we wouldn't be gathered here today if that was the case. As we've already mentioned, Sarah was in a absolutely horrible marriage with her ex-husband. And after leaving him, as one does, she prayed and prayed and prayed and prayed and prayed for a godly man to enter her life so that she could spend the rest of her life with them. And now forcibly entering stage left is Kyle. Per Sarah's blog, I met Kyle, the most amazing man on the entire planet, at his baptism. With Sarah's timeline of events, she was 32 years old in 2012, and it is believed that she met Kyle in 2015, would make her 35 years old at that time. She goes on to state, Kyle was standing in front of me, and wow, he's so handsome. The most handsome guy I ever saw. I do not speak solely of physical appearance, though he is quite the looker, but it is his whole presence. One of my spiritual gifts is the ability to distinguish between spirits, and I have to tell you that his soul was beautiful and glowing. Sarah was so enamored, so spiritually boned up for this man that she took a secret picture of him, a little secret snapshot. And this is the first picture that Sarah Titus shares with us, that she blesses us with, of Kyle. Now, do you notice anything about that picture? Yes, you're right. Kyle is a teenager. Kyle is a child, a grown woman, 35 years old at this time, with 2 children, has boldly, loudly claimed that she has fallen in love with a teenager. Who's going to tell her that those are not wedding bells she's hearing? Those are alarms. Those are sirens. Straight to jail. Insane asylum, actually. Penitentiary. Sanatorium. This young man was not at all interested in me, though, sadly. Although I tried to get him to notice me. He never once even looked at me. Not that I saw. It was sad. Now, just like you, I was hoping that maybe that was just, one moment of pure insanity. But again, we I would not have gathered us all here today if that was the case. Sarah's predatory thoughts and behaviors absolutely continued. Of course they would. She attended the same church as Kyle, and she was over the moon when his family volunteered to help her move into her dream home. Sarah admits that she thought Kyle's twin brother was more intriguing to her at first during their move-in day, but she quickly realized Kyle was, quote, the one, as he was teased by his siblings. He's teased as a child, she was teased as a child, so they just are a match made in hell. She goes on to share, everything he did, everything he was, impressed me. We would look at each other from across the garage and just stare at one another, not saying a word, just enthralled with each other. Couldn't look away type of thing. Our souls liked each other. There was just something completely mesmerizing about each other that we couldn't explain. We were drawn to each other and didn't know why. A few paragraphs later, Sarah states, he never once crossed any lines, and there is nothing there that he could ever be in trouble for, neither could I. While it was very clear flirting, it wasn't in any way crossing any lines or being bad in any way, shape, or form. We were both innocent, and to this day, even 6 years later, we have remained in our innocence. To absolutely no one's surprise, she fully admits that he was a child. Is a child. Is a child. Was. 6 years ago, if you're doing the math, that made him 17 years old. I was in shock. Wait, he's only 17? Oh no. No. I thought for sure he was in his 20s. Of course, after finding out his age, I left everything completely alone, as any honorable person would do. She also confesses that he wasn't even in her, quote, age group, and that she couldn't be with him. Unfortunately, that mindset did not stick for long. She was back to swooning over Kyle, as she called him the godly love of her life, or to everyone else, the teenager that she was in love with. She began stalking his Facebook page, staring at his pictures, obsessing over him. Now, the delusional thinking has already been quite apparent, but things get kicked up a notch when Sarah states, so Kyle and I have been talking online, just friends, nothing more. Online, it was more businesslike than in person, and it was a lot more flirty. Again, innocent flirting, but he was definitely flirting. He was always so happy to see me, excited, and I knew he liked me for sure. We spent a week together at vacation Bible school that next summer. Although we didn't talk much, there were a lot of secret clues. Now, remember how we talked about earlier with erotomania, how within these delusions, people will see like secret messages that their loved ones are sending them, or rather the object of their delusional affection will send them? That's this. Delusions of reference, where the erotomaniac individual often perceives that they are being sent messages from their secret admirer through innocuous events such as seeing license plates from specific regions. These secret cues seem to be, in my unprofessional, obviously no one asked for opinion, seem to be delusions of reference. And I don't mean to chuckle, to giggle, or to laugh, because it's not funny. However, this is wild. She took a picture of him staring at me. That's my Sarah voice, in which she adds, and we're not going to show the picture just yet. I want to have a reveal here. This is how she describes this picture. Look at those eyes. Staring at me. Just completely gone. ... In love. Here's the picture. Ma'am, are you taking the picture? Did someone else take the picture? You took the picture. So you're behind the camera. He's not looking at you. He looks miserable. And Sarah claims that Kyle was 18 years old in this picture, but he's at vacation Bible school as a camper. And then she goes further to claim that they started a relationship. They were official. However, they had to keep it a secret because Kyle's parents wouldn't have approved of her being significantly older than Kyle. It isn't even clear if Kyle knew who Sarah Titus was, or if he knew that she had planned their entire lives of just, sailing off into the sunset or skinning him alive and wearing him as a person suit. All of Sarah's love story, hopes, and dreams with Kyle, a child, were just completely shattered and broken when the pastor of their church asked to have a meeting with them along with another elder of their church. And when questioned, Kyle said, "No, I don't like Sarah." Sarah was spiraling and didn't understand why Kyle was lying. That is until she, quote, realized he was human. End quote. Now, here are some examples of what she claims happened between her and Kyle. In case you're wondering how we could talk while everything is secret, we spoke to each other in secret ways, as we still do to this day, 6 years later. Kyle is my best friend, and we've gotten to know each other extremely well. Through the good and through the bad, it's kind of like smoke signals. He originally initiated contact, and then I gave him my passwords, access and permissions, etc. He sends secret messages on his social media and through text. He has an app that masks your phone number. He is on all of my electronic devices, computers, phone, TV, anything with Wi-Fi. Back then, did TVs have Wi-Fi? He sees all that I do online and works with me. Is Kyle in the room with us now? He's on my email, on my Facebook, on my YouTube, on everything. When someone rings my doorbell or comes to my door, he knows about it because he's on my phone and can see the alerts. There's nothing that I can hide from him. He's my best friend. We spend all of our free time together. We watch movies, TV shows. I talk on my email or write this blog post. This is so sad. And he watches the screen because he's on my computer. He can see what I'm typing, and then he can refresh the screen or make things refresh. There are other ways we communicate in secret too, but that's the main portion of it. Now, if that wasn't sad enough, the way that Sarah seems to rationalize everything is by saying that if Kyle was actually to come out and actually interact with her, that his parents would disown him, kick him out, and he'd be homeless. Sarah seems to also rationalize things by saying things such as, I can't wait until the Lord comes and brings Kyle with him. I can't wait until this whole mess is behind us and we can be together. That sounds like she's going to schmurder both of them. That's what that sounds like. And while we are obviously hoping that that is the end of this nightmare for Kyle, whether he knew at that time that it was actually him in her computer, it, of course, gets worse, as it always does. When we check in with Sarah's blog posts again, she reports that God is punishing her and Kyle for keeping their relationship secret, and Kyle for lying to everyone about his feelings for her. His supposed lies to the church pastor and the elders were the most egregious to Sarah. After all, he was an adult now and they could be together if he just admitted it to everyone that he loved her. After all, Sarah said that she'd wait however long it took for Kyle to be able to be honest with his family and church members. She's been waiting for 7 years at this point. Yes, Sarah Titus has been obsessing with and believing that she is in a relationship and in love with a child who is now, because that's how time works, an adult for 7 years. But even waiting the better part of a decade didn't dissuade Sarah. She writes in one of her blogs, if I have to wait another 20 years to be with this man, I will. He's worth waiting for. His love is worth waiting for. He offers me so much more than any other man ever could. True love. It's not Kyle in your light bulbs. It's the faulty wiring in your house. Like, let's check back in with our timeline, shall we? Because it's getting a little kooky. Sarah started her very much so one-sided relationship against his own consent or knowledge with Kyle in 2014, 2015. He turned 18 in 2016 and she turned 36 years old then. If she's claiming to be in a relationship with him for 7 years and that she's going to wait for him forever, that would get us to 2021. It's 2024 right now. Per usual with any of the subjects and individuals we cover, like we already established, they're not reliable narrators. A lot of times, time is something that they quite frequently enjoy manipulating. And Sarah Titus, in my opinion, is no exception to time manipulation. She really do be thinking she's Loki. Anytime Sarah is faced with an obstacle or a roadblock relating to Kyle, her life, or just anything in general, she blames Satan. Anything that is positive in her life is due to her being a devout Christian and strictly obeying the word of God. Sarah goes on to say, the answer to defeating Satan is given to us in James 4:7. It says, submit yourselves, therefore, to God, resist the devil, and he will flee from you. And then she continues and says, if I try to resist Satan, I am not submitting to God. What will happen? Something or maybe nothing. It's not promised. There's no guarantee. It's human will resisting against Satan. We need to resist him in our flesh. Yes, but we also must submit ourselves to God. What does that mean? It means God is allowing you to be falsely accused. And that's Not sane. Also, are you falsely accused because you already admitted that you were in a relationship with a minor, but she's not in a relationship with him? Anyways. And then she followed up all of that, Satan talk, with this pretty unhinged Facebook post. Urgent prayer request. I've been dealing with a trial for 6 years now, maybe longer. It's been really, really long. This person is still lying about me, publicly, to my church, to everyone. And now he has taken his lie to the police. I honestly cannot believe how far he's going in order to lie. He already lied to our pastor, our church, the public, everyone. But now the police, all in order to save face. I need prayer for protection. I stand 100% blameless and innocent, I promise. It's not my fault he's inside my computer. That the truth will come out, that the Lord forced the truth to come out and my words are vindicated. And I am cleared of all these lies said about me. It's a very serious matter. God is in the midst of it, but I am asking a few friends to pray for me. If you happen to have some sort of prayer chain you are a part of, I would love prayer from as many people as humanly possible. Let the truth come out. Let me be vindicated. Let God be glorified. Now, obviously, we're in the future. We're on the outside. We can look at this and see a lot of red flags. So many red flags. So you're probably thinking, what did Kyle do? What did his family do? Like, what is going on? She says they went to the police, but did they? Because we don't believe anything, or I, at least, don't believe anything this woman says. It's like the None of This Is True. Such a good book. If you haven't read it, please do. Also, if you have not seen my reading list Instagram highlight, definitely go check it out. I have all my reviews on there and stuff. And listen, Colleen Hoover sucks. This woman probably likes Colleen Hoover. Is this Colleen Hoover? Sounds like it. That's a joke. Don't sue me, Colleen Hoover. Please. You have more money than God. Please don't sue me. So how did everyone react? Was the church like, yeah, just keep coming to church? Was the family like, we'll help you move again? Was Kyle like, yeah, no, you're just Looney Tunes? Well, the elders of the church finally had enough of her and was like, hey, don't come back here, and kicked her out of her church. And the pastor threatened to tell other churches about her. But like, do it. Like, don't just threaten it, do it. I mean, pastors talk, so hopefully he did it. That was the wake-up call that Sarah needed, and she stopped all of this. Of course not. We have like another 2 hours of this video. I'm so sorry to my editor. So no, that's not, she kept going. It gets much worse. So after being kicked out of her church due to being a delusional lunatic and stalking this poor boy, she posts this exciting announcement on her blog. Her and Kyle are engaged. In her unhinged blog post titled, am engaged, she states that I begged Kyle to tell the truth. All these years, they threatened him, they oppressed him, they kept him in their little box. And while we should never listen to sin, he did for a long time, actually. But as the story would go, a girl is dead. Wait, what? Who is dead? A girl is dead. Kyle did lose everything just like God said he would if he didn't obey. And he finally and thankfully obeyed God. It took him losing everything, and sometimes God has to take us to the depths of the lowest places in order to get us to look at him. It's a sad reality for many people. You're probably thinking, I'm sorry, who's dead? Where? There's more characters here. So yeah, she announced that her and Kyle are engaged, and she credits Kyle and his sinning, meaning not being forthcoming about his love and relationship with her, saying that that was the cause of the death of a young teenage girl who apparently was taking attention away from her. And on her Facebook, she said, a life is taken in punishment. She's dead. For all those following along, for all those praying, here's the next update. I have been notified that one of my enemies, the newest one, is now physically deceased. Are they in the room with us now, Sarah? This is the second enemy I have seen taken care of in this way now by the Lord's hand. This person, a pawn of Satan's, was used to try to drive a wedge between me and the man the Lord intends for me to marry. God was incredibly angry at her for her sinful acts. I asked God to punish her for her wickedness, and he did. He said she deserves death, and she's no longer here. There was no one to stand up for her before the righteous judge. Not Jesus. She wasn't saved. Not a righteous leader. I wouldn't. Girl, you ain't righteous. Her life was taken as a result. When you are accused, when you sin, and we all do, if you are a Christian, you have Jesus Christ to stand up for you. Pleading your case, his blood covers you. Unsaved people do not have that, and it's a tragedy. Unfortunately, there are more people who would wish to keep us apart, namely our church. His current church and my previous church. So far, they have been successful at keeping us apart, but God's will cannot be thwarted by anyone, sinner or saint. God fully intends to punish the church next. He says that most of the leaders in church are not saved and that they are in great sin, not just in this situation with me, but with others as well. The Lord has taken up all of our causes and will act. After the truth all comes out in this situation, I am proven justified and blameless. God says the church will retaliate and they will not win that battle. They will lose and God will clean out his house, the church, and disperse and scatter those who have been doing wicked things. And then she goes on to say that her God is the only one and he vindicates and no one else does and blah, blah, blah. Basically that Jesus and God talk to her and that's it. And that if you cross her or whatever, he's going to punish you, kill you. Jesus is not your hired assassin. What's going on? So of course, she calls out her pastor and the church members biblically and anyone else who does not believe her. And she claims that they are all sinners, which it's like, yeah, everyone sins, lady. And then says that they are all sheep's in wolves' clothing. Reverse that and flip it. You get it. She goes on to write, you see, I have loved ones, cherished people within that church who don't have a clue what's going on. Neither do you. Leadership has been so great at hiding things from them, hiding the truth, covering over everything, and sidestepping to different people. I watched as my previous pastor and elder, Scott, lied to Kyle's parents and then told me something different. I saw how they abused and manipulated the situation. In my opinion, and the opinion of many other people, namely my researcher, we think that this is where the blog posts really get grudge-like and turned towards real angry. And also one thing that I can't stop thinking when she's like, oh, they keep lying to everyone and like hiding this. And it's like, girl, that's probably for your benefit. They probably see that you're very, very unwell and want to just not embarrass you or make it worse or have you skin them alive. But of course, she's not just mad at elders and pastors and church people. She's also mad at Kyle. And she starts to say that he has sinned like worse than anyone. And she goes on to detail some of his transgressions. Everything I do, he's on all my stuff, my TV, my phone, and he sees my activity, even of my security system that I have for protection as a blogger for my home. He's on my computers and all electric devices. So he sees, even as I type this, he is there, refreshing my computer, making it very known to me he's there. When he's there on my stuff, he doesn't get on the kids' stuff, only mine. But I don't allow them to take electronics into their bedrooms or any private area anyway. There was a point several years back where I took my computer in to a local technician to have Kyle removed off of it. I'll get to why later. And to clean everything up. And I walked into a place and said, look, someone is on my computer. He has the power to turn on my computer in the middle of the night when I'm sleeping and downloaded more stuff to give him access. The guy thought that I was a wackadoo. He said very plainly, that is not possible. I didn't argue. I don't really live my life in a way to argue. I simply assured him to check. After he was done assessing my computer, he found that what I was saying was indeed true. He found what Kyle was doing and removed it. Problem is, Kyle saw everything he was doing to find him and within a day or so got right back on it another way. Then I noticed Kyle was able to watch TV with me on my TV too. Ma'am, that's not possible. I happened across how he was getting into that through my computer as well. So the skill level we are talking about here is pretty significant. But even after all this, even after he literally sees, hears just about everything I do in my life, he still comes to the conclusion that I am better than him and I can't change his mind for anything. I've tried. Why? Because it's my belief that we are equals. One is not better than the other. While I may be better at different things, such as blogging and being delusional, or standing for God when it's necessary, he is better at other things. Parenting/teaching patience, to name a few. Ma'am, what? So Sarah's frustrated and she's saying that Kyle is not only lying, but he is committing adultery in his heart. And she says, quote, And yet the entire time we are courting, he is looking for someone else also. And this is where things get, what do you know, worse. Sarah lashes out by writing, he's been playing with me. He's been playing the church, plain and simple, telling me one thing, telling them another, and telling other girls another, pretending to be something he's not. I think that at this point, after having come to find out about all this, my question to God is why? God wants us to be engaged and together before God. We've made that commitment to each other. Woman, you've never talked to each other. Just like we made that commitment to each other when we began courting. So while we are engaged now, both officially and because God betrothed us, I do fully admit I still have a few concerns. Will he be faithful to me? Have I really and genuinely forgiven him for all he's put me through? Put me in a box so I couldn't leave the situation and am controlled by him constantly because of technology, messes up things on my computer to get revenge on me when he's angry as a pattern of his life, played both sides of the story while we were courting, only obeys halfway to avoid punishment, and has not obeyed 100% fully. Example, his Facebook profile, even after we are engaged, still says single. I don't think he's publicly admitted things to anyone, but I can't be sure. Causes a lot of people to sin because of his lies, example, the church, constantly disobeys God and runs from his will, seeking out to be with another woman, all while saying he loves me and I'm the only one for him in order to keep all of his options open and have a plan B backup. She also adds, purposely deceiving the church, his parents, friends, and the police and me to think he's better than he is. And then she continues and says, I will not marry him until he's taking care of these things. He wants to be married extremely fast, and I want more of a long engagement because I want us to make sure he's really changed and for him to have time to make things right. So why have I stayed with him through all of this? Any other girl, you're a grown woman, would have left him in the first few months of all these stunts he's pulling. First, I do love him with God's love. God put his love for Kyle inside of me very early on into our friendship. Secondly, because God wants me to stay. That's the end of the story. God wanted me to stay. And then Sarah concludes this blog post with the following glorious statement. In the meantime, I work with Kyle to work through these issues in private, and I trust and rest in the Lord that he knows what he's doing, and he's working in the situation. My trust is only in Christ. Our lives are in his hands alone, and I'm watching along with the world to see how he takes care of all of us, one day at a time, letting the Lord lead. But here's the thing. All of this is still up on the internet. She didn't take any of this down. And let's hop into the future. In March 1st, 2021, she gave an update on her blog about her relationship with Kyle. You know, the one that's totally definitely happening and not just in her brain. And it says the following. Kyle and I are no longer engaged. It was brought to my attention that he has cheated on me multiple times while we were together. I called the engagement off and broke up with him. We are no longer together. That's the end of the story. Just kidding. No, it's not. So roughly a year later, after that, Sarah is again publicly calling out members of her church. She says that they are all a bunch of sinners and that they had no grounds, no right to kick her out of the church. God is angry, and Jim, the church pastor, will lose his physical life by God as punishment to his own great sin. Scott Freeman, the elder who was there when the pastor talked to her, shall be kicked out. He is a wolf in sheep's clothing, and I pray God give you the eyes to see it. I know I've already said it about 6 times, but her behavior really starts to escalate here. Not only did she threaten her pastor's life publicly on the internet, but then also Scott, the elder, who was also there, also, making threats about his position in the church and in the community. She also goes further to threaten Kyle's life via God. In her own words, Sarah writes, Kyle will also lose his physical life for his great sin as punishment from the Lord, how he has done harmful and devious things to me. From the beginning, Kyle has been illegally on my stuff. When I ignore him and don't talk to him, he turns off my TV, he attacks me. So I am forced by abuse to stay. She also states, when I create printables, he moves lines and adjusts colors and fonts and the like. It's a big cat and mouse game with him. Every move I make, he destroys. I worked 2 weeks on a digital planner he completely destroyed. All my work, gone. He goes on my computer and deletes files so that I have to start from scratch. Deletes things out of my Shopify so customers are affected. He has deleted large amounts of people off my newsletter list several times. I think it might be them unsubscribing. He pauses my TV to send messages to me. He shuts down my TV to force me to spend time with him when he wants to as a way to control me. He kills my income and tries to destroy everything I do. He attacks my friends online, making them leave so that I am all alone. I think it's you. He turns my heater way up to heat me in the summer or way down to freeze me by the app on my phone. He adds typos and errors to my work so I look like an idiot. He's on every single electronic device I have and uses them as listening devices. He's given me 2 viruses to destroy my computer. And in the last few years, I've had to replace 2 computers because of him. I've lost everything. I don't know how old your kids are, but it's probably your kid looking at porn and probably you looking at porn because you don't know how to have a VPN or I don't know. It's probably porn. Ugh, Kyle is not listening to you from your dishwasher, allegedly. But if that's not bad enough, it's not just Kyle in her microwave listening to her. It's also Kyle's twin brother, Ryan. Remember him? You forgot he had a twin brother, didn't you? Well, he's also in the devices. I wish I was joking, but I am not. How are there not? I mean, I feel like I know why there's not videos on this lady because I'm going to be in her computer next, probably. Watch out, Sarah. It's me and your toaster. Back in August of last year, Ryan, in his evilness, got on Kyle's computer and hacked him. I knew it immediately, as God revealed it to me and I led Ryan to Christ. That's right, Ryan, Kyle's twin brother, is a believer now. See, the church wouldn't listen. They said Ryan wasn't saved, so God saved Ryan, so they would listen. Isn't God so clever? Ryan watched and recorded for proof that what Kyle was up to. Not only was Kyle on all my stuff, apparently he was on a neighbor's computer as well. And from what I understand, watching 7 people have sex. The girl he was watching her orgies tried to get Kyle to join in on them. And in God's judgment, he took her physical life pretty quickly. He got off her stuff after that and has not been on anyone else's stuff but mine since. After that, Kyle started likening my daughter, who is now 17, but was 9 when we all met. Just a quick little side note. Unfortunately, Sarah has custody of her children, which now they're almost adults, are adults, whatever. So, okay. But either way, having this as your mother, I really hope they're okay. That breaks my heart. Let's continue. He has apparently been watching/stalking her on her electronic devices, iPad, and has been enticing him. And she has been enticing him as well. God originally ordained for me and Kyle to be together. But in all this gross sin, God's intention is to take Kyle's life now due to this sin. My daughter has been exiled by God and no longer lives with me. Thank God. Or whatever you believe in. After everything I've been through, I never imagined my own daughter to betray me like this. Oh, this poor sweet baby angel. To entice the man I loved, who was intended to be her father, is sick and wrong. Of course, my daughter was exiled. Kyle is trying to be with me again, but it has been long over. We are not engaged anymore, and I found out about the other 2 women he tried to sleep with. So now Ryan is coming into the scene full-time since August. Oh, full-time, girl. He gets benefits and a pension from being on your devices. I have worked with Ryan in all this time through the power of God to help Ryan become a godly man. No, you haven't. At the time I met him, he was married, however, confided in me that his wife had an affair. I encouraged him to go back to her because he was struggling with not having sex outside the marriage. God was convicting that he could also save his wife by becoming a Christian and save their marriage. He did go back to her, but soon after, Ryan was unhappy. He started falling in love with me, of course, and pursuing me romantically while with her. God kept trying to get him to love his wife and leave me alone romantically, as did I. However, he would not listen. She goes on to say that Ryan left his wife and left a note, I guess, and that they're no longer together, but they're still legally married, and that Ryan has been trying to be with Sarah romantically, but she's not going to date him if they're still married. She doesn't want to wreck a home or do anything bad and encourage him to be with his wife. She felt like there could be potential between them. And she was saying that he was in love with him. And then it says, however, Ryan can't seem to quit all of his bad boy ways and continues to commit adultery. He refuses to divorce his wife, keeping her as a second option if he can't have me, which is wrong. I've told him that many times. Now, Sarah goes on to state that Ryan is in love with her over and over and over again, and that she can't be in love with him because he's a sinner just like his twin brother, Kyle. And her delusions of reference are getting worse and worse, as we can see by the following blog post. To be clear, Ryan also sends me messages and shows me he's there. He, like Kyle, flips my camera on my phone. He also writes letters and words on my drafts and emails, and he pauses the TV to send me messages. Sarah then concludes this blog post and says that God is going to make everything right, and she wants to see you spared and that you need to repent. But wait, there's more. May 3rd, 2023. Kyle is incredibly gifted in being clever. It's always been something that impresses me. As he has deleted other pertinent emails from my email inbox, I want to post this on my blog for proof of his denial of all of this, so that it's crystal clear when the truth comes out. God won't let him stay hidden forever. That he has been stating all along that I'm lying and that he won't be able to backpedal or mince words. Kyle hid this email in my spam, knowing I would never go in there, so that I would miss his ultimatum date. In God's sovereignty, I did see it and went there unexpectedly and saw this. And this is from Kyle's email, and it's to her. I can't even go any further because it says that she has 218 drafts. And it doesn't say anything, just has a letter attached, and it says Sunday 1 PDF. And it's a letter from Kyle to Sarah asking her to take down all mentions of him in her blog posts. Can you imagine how scared this young man and his family are of this woman? So this letter reads, the 30th of April, 2023. Dear Sarah Titus, dear, she doesn't deserve that. I am writing you as a formal step to address my concern of your previous and most recent blog posts this past Thursday, April 27th, 2023. It was brought to my attention that you published a blog entitled An Open Letter to the People of HBC. As of today, Sunday, April 30th, 2023, I would like you to either immediately or on or before the 5th of May, so the week after, 2023, remove all blog posts referencing me from your blog, and then has the URL. Listed but not necessarily restricted to as follows. An open letter. Have you been falsely accused? I'm engaged. Wait for love. Love never grows weary. When you lose love, blah, blah, blah. And refrain from any further publishing any type of content related to me or my family. The reasons for this request include, but are not limited to, the following. You have reported serious accusations against me that are false, including but not limited to me inflicting torture on you, the fact that my life is hiding something big, that I have been trying to have sex with other women, that he, being Kyle, he attacks, so I'm forced by abuse to stay. You have falsely reported actions on my twin brother, Ryan, saying that Ryan was there on moving day and he was flirting with her, that Ryan watches Kyle torture me but does nothing about it. You have made upsetting predictions about my impending death by God's hands, and then emotional disruption to family members. Your false reports about our secret marriage and romance, false reports about my moral failures and mistreatment of you, and the false reports about my brother Ryan are serious and upsetting, defame our reputation, and could jeopardize or unnecessarily disrupt our careers by these false accusations due to the public nature of your blog posts. As seen on, and then the blog URL, and discussed on Reddit. Love that. Good job, Kyle. If you decline to remove the request from your site, I have been compelled to take further action to remove this troubling content, including asking Google to remove certain posts or links from their search engine. And I mean, he has the right to do that, you know? And then she continues and says Kyle doesn't want any of his sinful deeds being known, like how he was sleeping with a female teenager in his apartment at night. Girl, what? Because the Lord is punishing him. He's not doing so well in all areas and he hides it. So he's taken up babysitting on the side. Why a 15-year-old girl needs a babysitter, I don't know. But even worse is a mom who would allow her 15-year-old girl to sleep over in a single man's apartment. Who does that? I know things. Ryan knows things. we both see, and Kyle wants his sins to remain hidden. Thus, this letter, which screams, hide my sins, girl, it actually screams, please leave me alone. It's an obvious attempt to not only get me to shut up, but to bully and abuse me all the more, taking away my right to freedom of speech and destroy my blog with Google. That's not what freedom of speech means, meme. That's not, no. No. Does this not prove in his own words that he's trying to destroy my blog? For the Bible says blah, 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 you know. And then she continues and talks about Ryan more, saying that she is basically on her side and she prays that he'll come forward with the truth. And we know where Kyle stands in this already. Uses a hashtag randomly. And then she calls out Jim, the pastor of the church that she was a part of, where they met. And she says, you accused me of stalking Kyle online to know details of his life. You portrayed me as some girl. You're a grown woman who's obsessed with a guy. I assure you, I'm not. Tell me, please, how would I know all of this personal data? Is any of this public record anywhere? Hashtag it's not. Do not deceive ones, blah, blah, blah. Satan, Satan, Satan. Okay. And then she's asking for prayers and just being super crazy still. And then she gave another update. Update number 2, May 3rd, 2023. She said, literally while I was writing to update this very blog post in a time when the update was not yet live on my blog, so the only way he could see it is if he was on my computer. Kyle hurried up and emailed me all of a sudden, like to my blog email to try to cover his tracks. How much more proof do you need? I've got plenty. Me working on / writing the post, and then it went live to the world at 8:16 a.m. Girl, go to sleep. Him trying to cover his tracks at 7:31 a.m. And then she has another update. Listen, there are so many updates. And she says that Kyle did not like my sharing of this with the world and he attacked me. He deleted pictures of my most expensive item that I'm selling on Facebook Marketplace within the last couple of hours to try to harm my income and make the item not sell. Sure. And then a week later, update number 4, 11 p.m. I keep hoping that Kyle and Ryan will tell the truth. And I thought that said pegging God. And I keep pegging God that the truth will come out around 11 p.m. I was watching Girl Meets World. That's your first problem. And they both sent messages. They both talk through shows and movies. Oh no, that I watch as I'm watching something on TV. They will turn off my Wi-Fi, making the movie or show I'm watching pause. And that's the message. Whatever the character on TV just said, they make it pause and talk to me and send messages. It's like Requiem from a Dream when the guy's mom thinks the refrigerator is going to get her. During that Girl Meets World episode, Kyle stopped it when they said, if you just let it happen, there's a chance we can get away with it. Ryan responded by stopping the show when they said, your father trusts you, your mother trusts you, your brother lied for you. And then she continues to, say, why is God letting him get away with this, blah, blah, blah. God is fair. He's not just. And then she has one other reason. I believe the truth will all come out about this and God wants me to use it is in the midst of all this trial, I've lost so much of my income of blogging traffic and the ability to serve anyone. No one wants you to serve them. Of everything. Before I met Kyle, my page views were 1.7 million a month at its highest point, and now it's around 150,000 a month. A far cry from what it used to be. He's destroyed me. Ma'am, maybe it's because people are realizing how delusional you are and like it's not getting better and it's just the same old stuff over and over again. That's probably what it is. And then she just continues and saying that she's updating this continuously. 2 months later, Sarah posts another blog titled, I Die Daily. And she's accusing Kyle again of destroying her and her life and that Ryan's just watching. And thank God at this point, she, again, doesn't have like custody of her kids because they're older, thank God, or like late teens or whatever. And she's posting not great things about them too, which is so horrible. I believe we know she has a daughter. I believe the other one is her son. And she recently posted something along the lines of like, allegedly, that her son was like trying to murder her. And then 2 months later, she posts a blog post where she actually doxes Ryan's best friend, Kyle's brother Ryan, his best friend Ben. Last name redacted. And she's reminding everyone that Ryan's a liar and that he knows what's going on between her and Kyle. And she's also saying that Ben, their friend, can also access everything on her computer. This is exhausting. And then she goes further to say that Ben has also been oppressing her for 8 years, which is wild. And then she still wants God to smite everyone who has wronged her. Let God's will be done. and let his vengeance supersede any of my words. Let him justify me and right all wrongs. Let the truth come out. Let my name be cleared. Let all deceivers and evil ones be thoroughly punished for their great sin. Let the world know Titus is innocent, come what may. So per usual, there are many updates with this woman, including her claiming that Ben, Kyle's brother's best friend, now wants to be her new love interest. And apparently all three of them are hacking into all of her electronics. Also, just a little side note, I did, against my better judgment, email Titus and ask for a statement from my toaster, of course. I'm just kidding, from my computer. And I have not received, I received an auto response, but not an actual response from her. And then I did email Kyle as well. I don't expect a response from him, but if I do get one, I will have them at the end of this video. Or who knows, maybe an interview. Maybe I'll have my own Piers Morgan moment. Sarah continues to keep going and say that these three boys, even though they are all adults at this point, are in a three-way, not like that, battle fighting over who gets to be with her romantically. And keep in mind, it's not just these young men who are being dragged into this, it's also their family members, including apparently Ryan's wife, who is Kyle's sister-in-law. Apparently Ryan's wife too. They had recently announced, I guess, that they were pregnant. Sarah decides to, I guess, take a screenshot of that, post it, and then go as far to say that the child is not biologically Ryan's and that they are just posting this, that they're not even together, and that they're just posting this to make Sarah look like a liar. And maybe they're not quiet about this. Maybe they are blowing up their own social media about this. But like, if someone was going this far, I would not be able to shut up about it, obviously, because I am a yapper, just like Sarah is apparently. Sarah also continues to post more allegations, such as that Ben and Ryan are criminals because they are calling the cops on her for being part of a gifting group on Facebook. I'm sure that happened. And then, in true Sarah form, she ends her totally sane Facebook rant or blog post, whatever, with what seems like death threats to 6 different people. Because Ben has done such evil things to me, he, along with Andy, Kyle's father, who has been guiding Kyle to sin this whole time, Kyle, Ryan, Jim Harris, Noah Elliott, and also Ben, last name redacted, will all die physical deaths. Listen, God is angry. God does not like when his children are oppressed, and the second someone goes against me, an orphan and widow both, God acts. Are you a widow? Did you kill your ex-husband? What are you talking about? He will not allow others to oppress and cage me the way that they are. All these men will die physical deaths because of their massive sin. I got a massive sin for you. In this situation, mark my words, it will happen, and when it does, you will know why. It is fair and God is just. God will do it. I don't know when or how, but I know that God will, because God is fair and what they've done to me is wrong and not okay. I have so many questions. First and foremost, how is this woman not locked up? Again, if the victims aren't coming forward, and they might not be. I mean, they don't live in, from what I can see, a community, their spiritual community, that really helps and stands up for victims, let's be honest. We've seen what happens in the Fundy community. But I mean, you'd think if the victims are boys that it would be better and they'd want to stand up for them more, but clearly that's not the case. A few months later, on November 20th, 2023, last year, she dropped an absolute stinker of a blog post titled Hunter and Jacob. And then also Hunter, this new guy, Jacob's friend, try to stay with me. They're both in love with her too, just like Ryan, just like Kyle, Ryan, and Ben. So not only do you have Kyle, the patient zero, but also his brother Ryan. And then also Ryan's best friend, Ben. And then also Ben's brother, Jacob. And then Jacob's friend, Hunter. Girl, 6? You've got 6 boys fighting for your affection? I'll take things that never happened for 4 billion, Alex. If they're in love with her, you know what that means. She's also claiming that they have access to her toaster and they can talk to her through her phone's camera, and they are turning off her noise machine, her white noise machine at night, and all of her electronics and everything, right? Oh, but that also means that they're lying and saying they're not in love with her and that they have no idea who she is. Also, apparently she's called the police too. So you called police? Uno reverse. I got their number too. Also, what you're hearing right now down below me is my bulldog Wiggum. He was not in my office for the first part of this video, and now he's here now. So I have also spoken to police and told them I am fully willing to take any mental health test they want me to take in order to prove I am of sound mind, although anyone who knows me can vouch that I am of sound mind and reasonable thinking as well. Are those people in the room with us now? Because I don't think any of that is true. And as always, she ends this absolute unhinged art piece of a blog post with asking everyone for prayers and saying that God's going to protect her and the truth will out, as the muggles say. Now, if you thought that claiming that 6 young men in their mid-20s or early 20s are in love with you, fighting for your affection, have access to your Roomba, and sending you messages through your smoke detector, if you thought that was crazy, get a load of this. End of March 2024. Here we go. Almost in the present. Almost there. This blog post it should be studied, and also it should replace the Mona Lisa and also be behind bulletproof glass, please. Titled, "There Are 7 Who Chase Me." Talk about a banger. That is an absolute humdinger of a title. Sarah goes on to tell her readers, "Everywhere I go, it feels like I have to fight guys off with a stick. The level of confidence, which isn't confidence, just delusion." She claims, "One of my spiritual gifts is discernment of spirit." And she says that this allows her to read people and if they are good or bad. Everywhere she goes, guys just start flirting with her. She can't help it. Even if the boys her 17-year-old daughters actually liked Sarah more. That just made her daughter bitter. To be this woman's child, to not only live in a household with this woman and to be close to her or depend on her to survive basically, but just to be her child. Listen, my mom's crazy, but fun crazy. The amount of sequins and fringe she had in her closet growing up. Basically a drag queen. Love this woman so much. Reading this makes me so thankful for my own mother that she was not like this. Then again, the bar is real low with this lady, but I cannot fathom what it's like to be this woman's child, and it's truly terrifying. As of now, it seems like her daughter was the older one. It looks from her old blog post, it looks like they were pretty close in age, and it seems like her daughter is older, possibly a year or two-ish apart, and so daughter older, son younger. Seems like her son is 16 years old right now as of 2024, depending on what month his birthday is. And then her daughter, I believe, is 17 or 18. And she has posted multiple times that her daughter got pregnant or isn't a Christian. So she has exiled her. And it's dear God, girlfriend, if you're out there, stay away from your mother. Exile her. So Sarah continues in this post to brag that guys just always like her. Guys, not men. Boys, not men. It's no shock that I have 7 who chase me continually, which brings me to the point of this story. First of all, which story? Because you've told a billion. And second of all, she just says that she obeys God's orders. I cannot stand, little rant time. As if this whole entire video hasn't been a rant. I cannot stand when Fundy people talk about constantly about how they're being attacked by the devil and their life is so hard and being married is the devil and Satan are attacking their marriage. I have never once thought the devil is attacking my marriage. Of course, yeah, there were some periods where we maybe weren't on the same page about certain stuff, or maybe we were a little bit disconnected just because we're so busy. Never one posted about that. That's weird. No one needs to know that. Keep that in your household or go see a therapist. But then also, and we're fine. We're great. Or when they're oh, I got to go in my prayer closet. Y'all know you jerk it in there. But I got to go in my prayer closet to pray about the trials I'm being put through, and my enemies are getting scared when I pray. And it's what enemies? Bethany and Jorbertson? You don't have enemies. Are you talking about the hot girl who doesn't wear long jean skirts and might wear shorts at your husband's work because you're so scared that your husband might be tempted? Or God, I can't. Maybe the fundamentalism is the problem, you guys. I've had trauma. My life has been hard. I pray. I do consider myself a Christian. I also identify as a bi-queer woman. Yes, I'm married to a man, very monogamous with him. However, I just could not imagine blaming the devil and Satan and demons for all the that's happened in my life when it's like, no, that was my own fault. Like, what? Speaking of crazy, let's go back to Sarah. So in this blog post, Sarah goes on and tries to relate everything to a Bible story. Of course. Pretty sure the Bible also says, don't be a dumb bitch, right? And then, of course, she says that one day a man sent by God is going to come to her doorstep and whisk her away. You want to know something crazy other than Sarah? None of these 75 boys have ever come to her door to whisk her away. And of course she says, whisk her away to the sound of wedding bells and blah, blah. Like I said before, girl, those aren't wedding bells. Those are sirens. But wait, there's more. For just 2 payments of, dear God, why is she still going? We have this lovely, completely normal admission publicly on the internet from a 40-year-old woman. And that is not to age shame. But girl, get it together. You're too old to act like this. You've been too old to act like this. Sarah says, I have my wedding dress and all my accoutrements that go with it. I have my flowers and his boutonniere. Are they fake? How are they not dead? I have prepared all delicate items for the wedding night. What? I have a ton of men's clothing, ties, jackets in every size so that whatever size my future husband will wear, I will be ready right off the bat to provide for him clothing as is fitting of the Proverbs 31 wife. Verse 21, not to be confused with the others. Spiritually, I have prepared my own life to be that Proverbs 31 wife in all areas. And more than that, I have kept checking in with God while lining myself up to the Proverbs 31 standard to see when I am ready. He says that I am the standard of the Proverbs 31 wife. This is also something that is quite concerning because, listen, talk to whatever higher power you believe in. Like I've said, I pray. The thing is that like I'm things might present themselves. Not me saying I get, delusions of reference, but if things might happen here or there, or, someone might say whatever, right? Not saying that like God's sending me signs, but if I'm praying for patience regarding a situation, am I actually praying for those feelings? No, I'm praying for those situations so that I can then practice being and having the opportunity to be whatever feeling I'm trying to practice. You get it. So talk to God, whatever, babe. That's not a problem. Talk to the flying spaghetti monster. Talk to the hemorrhoids you probably got, because same. Pray those go away. But the thing is that if God's talking back to you, we got an issue, because that ain't discernment. That ain't the Holy Spirit. That's psychosis. So Sarah continues and keeps going and going and going and going and going about how she is so prepared for marriage. But the problem is that none of the 47, and by 47 I mean 7, men who are hiding inside her microwave are busting down her door trying to whisk her off to the altar and put on that JCPenney suit she got them. So, of course, in this blog post, she goes through all of the problems that Kyle, his brother Ryan, his best friend Ben, Ben's brother Jake, and Jake's friend Hunter, who she claims and outs as a 21-year-old virgin. Like, how would you know that? And also, what are you doing? And then also Noah. Who is that? Couldn't tell ya. Oh, and then also another person who she just refers to as anonymous. And that, my friends, brings us to June 20th. Roughly a month ago, Sarah shared some amazing news. Oh, that's right. Sarah has announced that she is officially engaged to one of the 7 as of June 17th. And she can't wait to share more with you and tell you who it is. That post has since been deleted from her Facebook. And again, I am no doctor. I do not play one on TV. Wiggum the Bulldog is not a doctor, although he thinks he is. He's got a lab coat. It's weird. I think, in my unofficial, unprofessional opinion that no one asked for, I think that she's living in a constant state of delusion. I swear she's going to claim that like I'm inside of her printer. Wild. So sad. So at this time, from what my team and I have looked into, it doesn't seem like there's any like court records or filings or anything like that regarding all of this and Sarah. And the thing is that with like cyber stalking and just like stalking in general, there's like really not anything you can do. And it's crazy. Like until they like hurt you, they can't really do anything. I guess because of all of this, like they could get an injunction, but is she an injunction meaning a restraining order, but is she going to follow that? Probably not. And then actually, I guess by violating it, she could be arrested, but this is wild. This is so wild. Or I mean, I guess this could be libel too, but she doesn't really have malicious intent, I don't think, because she believes it all to be true, so it wouldn't really be libel then, because she thinks it's true. It's like when I say, I mean, I believe you believe that's true, you know? And she do be thinking it's true. But don't worry, we're not alone in seeing this delusion. There are countless Reddit posts about Sarah, and I was so surprised that there weren't any YouTube videos about it. But again, I'm sure I will find out why. Next I'll be added to the roster, okay? As I said in my email that I sent out earlier to Kyle, I really hope that these victims and their families are safe, you know, able to not only sleep at night, but just be able to carry on with their lives. I know it's rough when someone like this is just relentless, and it really does seem like she is relentless in my opinion. It's truly wild to me though that a lot of times with these people, they will move on, like get mad, you know, go through those stages and get mad and then move on to another person to obsess over. But it seems like she's just adding more people to the roster. Like she could start a basketball team with this roster she has of obsessed people. And I really want to know who she thinks she's engaged to now, because that's wild. Oh, I should have said that in my email to her. I should have congratulated her on her engagement. That's not funny, Chelsea. Don't give in to the delusions. Anyways, I really hope that there isn't anyone else who is added onto the roster of being a victim of Sarah's dangerous delusions. Also, one thing that I forgot to mention, or not really forgot, but didn't know where to put it. Literally have a note here that says add in somewhere. But Sarah I was just looking at her Facebook, and she's made claims about her own son that they go past the exploitative. Like people don't need to know this information. Like, why are you putting this on the internet? A Facebook post in late February 2024 includes text and pictures alleging that her son is physically abusive to her and that he admits to almost murdering her. She asked for help from her Facebook friends because that's the right response in this situation. She also adds that her 15-year-old son, turning 16 years old next month, is dating an 11-year-old girl. She later claims that he apologizes in a handwritten letter to her on March 22nd. Like, if you read excerpts from the letter, and this is just my understanding of it and what I think, but reading that letter, I feel like I can hear what she tells him all the time, which seems vague, I know, but let me just read off a little part for you. So, I'm sorry for the way I've treated you for the majority of my life. You try so hard to provide for my needs and to get me to see the truth. What truth? What does that mean? You suffer daily for Christ. I treat you like you're a monster. You are one of the best Christians in all of history and the best mom I could imagine. I thought going to Dad's would offer me a better life. But I now realize that I have the best life I could have living with a Christian mom like you. I keep slandering you. What 15-year-old knows the word slander or how to use it? All because you trust God, even up to risking your life for obeying him. Wild. This is giving Lori Vallow, Ruby Frank. I deserve the worst punishment imaginable for what I've done. What have you done? I don't want to sin anymore either. You said that you don't have any motivation to write posts because no one is there to read them. Are you sad fishing through your kid? Weird. Not many people can talk to God in the way you do. Again, I'm very sorry. Horrible. First of all, to post that on the internet, to air out everything like that, stop. That's bad. It's just awful. And of course, people were commenting and being not quite as delusional as she is, but just trying to help her. And someone said, how precious, he realized what he's doing to you. Oh, I bet it was totally unprovoked that he wrote that. Really awesome. He's being accountable. That's a huge lesson everyone needs. Absolutely. She said, absolutely. We all sin. I pray God drives him closer to himself with a capital H. and that he gives his life to God. I've never lived with anyone else who's saved before, and being whatever. Guess that same person was like, I thought your daughter was a Christian too. It makes a huge difference in your home when everyone's a believer, praying for more calm for you all. And she said, thank you. Yeah, big difference. There's not a spiritual warfare. You're not on the front lines, babe. You are not in an episode of Game of Thrones. This is not Battle of... Get it together. There's still sin, conflict, whatever. No, my daughter is not saved, unfortunately, but she doesn't live with me. She was exiled by God out of my home last year. God didn't kick her out of your house. It sounds like you did. And it was a massive blessing to me personally. That's messed up. When she was, because she had been abusing me more than Matt, though not ever physically. Praise God, he protected and saved me out of that constant bullying that I endured with her for several years. She's over 18 and is now dating a 16-year-old guy. She says she doesn't care if she goes to jail for being with him. She just wants to be with him. She keeps saying that she wants a baby so bad, so glad she's out of my home. I do pray that God gets a hold of her heart and brings her to himself. Blah, 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 God can move mountains. I hope that your daughter never sees you again because you sound awful. So, of course, just putting more and more information out there, information that does not need to be on the internet. Again, I just don't understand how this woman is just continuing to go on and on and on and on and on and spread alleged lies about literally about whole families and whole congregations. Other than Reddit, shout out Fundy Snark. And they're not putting an end to it, stopping it, sticking up for these victims. Like that's crazy. But again, as we said before, when you are raised in and a part of a community that does not care for victims and just tells you that, I guess, God's going to fix it or he's going to look after you and blah, blah, blah. But it's like, this woman's also saying that God is the reason she's doing things. So I really hope that her kids get far away from her. I am not inciting harassment, violence, hatred, anything. I am not inside of her toaster or her smoke alarm or her Ring doorbell camera or anything like that. Please do not interact with this person for y'all's own well-being. Please do not. From all the research we've done, I do understand why maybe no one has touched this because, dear God. And also, of course, she's in doTERRA. Of course, she's selling courses to sell courses, stuff like that. And all that. I didn't want to get into that too much because all of this, I think, is more important. And obviously, y'all know where I stand with the courses to sell courses. And with doTERRA, which is an MLM, y'all know. That is it for this video. I cannot believe we're finally at the end. This is 3 hours of footage and audio. If there's anyone else that y'all would like me to cover, any random horrifying fundies, stuff like that, please let me know. I hope you have a great rest of your day, night, weekend, whenever you're watching this. If you are subscribed, get in close because this message is for you. If you're not, go away. You're dead to me. So, your butt looks so good. Only if you're subscribed. That's only for people who are subscribed. If you are subscribed, that's what happens. You get me telling you that your butt looks good, and it does. Those two plump little honeydews, little cantaloupes, plump, lifted, you're thriving. So proud of you. Good job. And if you feel like you're not, your feelings are valid. You're okay. This is temporary. You'll get through it. Okay? One day at a time, babe. That's what the addicts say. So I've heard. All right. I will see you guys in my next video. Goodbye. So as I was editing this video, I got an update and it looks like she went back in and edited her previous Facebook post, like put it back up and edited it to say which one she's engaged to. Apparently she's engaged to Hunter, and she also included his last name on there too. And she shared a blog post that says, "A match made in heaven from Hunter and Sarah." Are you sure it's from both of you? Because I'm pretty sure he doesn't want anything to do with you, lady. And then the blog post is just super unhinged, saying that she's been strung along, attacked, abused by Kyle for 10 years and severely hurt by Ryan, who promised to save me for 4 years, but never did. And she just goes on and on and on. Truly wild. So if any of these boys want to do an interview with me or reach out to me, hey buddies, I'm here for you. I got you. So crazy, so wild. I feel so bad for these people. Okay, bye.